Okay, so now that I've shown you how to introduce a blog to a website from scratch, let's go back to the website we were working on, and I'm going to show you how to set up your blog for this assignment. So let me deselect because we're already ready to go in and start setting up the blog. But if you're not actually, if you're in a different part of the website, like if you're out here, um, you have to kind of click within an area where you can access your blog. So if I go here, I still can't access the blog. You see this? It's saying it's not giving me that option. I have to go to here, okay, where the blog starts. And you're going to know that you can start setting up your blog because you're going to see manage posts and settings, okay? So if I click here, I can't do that. If I click here, there's an option for a blog because they've put that in here. If I click here, I can't do this, but if I click here, I've got manage posts and settings, right? So let me go back. But this is all going to take us, whether I click here and go to manage posts, or here and manage posts, or here and manage posts, it's all going to take me to the same dashboard for my blog. Okay, so I'm just going to start here. I'm going to go to manage posts. And right now I don't have any posts, and I don't have a menu system for my blog. So the first thing I'm going to do is set up the menu system for my blog, which Wix calls categories. So I go over here and I click categories. And right now all the categories I have is just this one, all posts. So I don't really have any categories. So I'm going to create them. And what I'm going to recommend for this assignment is that now you can create different menus for your blog, but I'm going to create one that I recommend. This is what I'm going to recommend for these categories is national stories. Well, let's start with top stories. And then national stories, local stories, and opinion. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create the news stories that I'm going to put on my site, and I'm going to assign every news story I create to these different categories. So I can assign um, any news story that I create to more than one category. So if I create a national story that's also I want to be one of my top stories, I just select those two categories when I create the story. Okay. And by the way, I can change the order of these, and that's going to affect how they would appear on my site by grabbing here and moving them around. Okay. So now I have my categories. Now I'm ready to start creating these news stories. And these news stories on Wix are called posts. So give it a second. Okay. And so I can go to posts here. And right now I don't have any. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and create my first post. And this is basically how you're going to take stories from the internet and post them on your website. I create them for your website and then publish them. So I start by hitting create new post. And this is where I'm going to put the headline. So basically what I'm doing is I'm looking for stories that I'm going to share on my news site, and I've picked out a whole bunch. Okay, so I would post all these stories. Again, this is my Daily Debunker website, so I've got local stories here. I've got national stories. This is a local story from the Star Advertiser. There's one about Maui. Now I've got to figure out, how do I take these stories off the internet that I've found and create a newspaper with them. So I'm going to start with this story. And here's the headline that I want to use for the story. So there's no real way to just drop in the links. Like, I can't just really grab this in an easy way, put it in the post, and have it show up looking good. So I've got to highlight this headline, because this is the headline I want to use, and then hit, on my Mac keyboard, I'm hitting Command C. If you've got a Windows computer, that's Control C, to copy this text. And I'm moving this out of the way, and now I drop that in right there. Okay. Now the next thing I want to do is create like a little tease that's going to appear on my website for what the story is about. So in newsrooms, sometimes they call this kickers, and let me show you what I mean by a teaser, or a kicker. If you look here, here's the headline. This is what I'm talking about in terms of a teaser or a kicker. And so I want to create that for my stories. So I'm going to grab a bit of text here to use as a teaser. I'm going to use this for my teaser. And you may be wondering, by the way, about copyright issues. Since this is a class and we're not doing anything commercial with the class, you're not actually violating any copyright laws by doing this assignment. But just keep in mind that that's a serious ethical issue. You can't just kind of grab content and use it as your own usually, but since this is a class assignment, that's called fair use in copyright law. Let me back up for a second to show you how I drop this in. So on the Mac keyboard, if I just drop it in like this, the text shows up wrong. I just hit Command and V to paste it, but that doesn't work quite well because the text is all screwed up. So I've got to delete that. And then on my Mac keyboard, I hit Shift, Option, Command, and then the letter V, and that puts it in the correct kind of text. Like, that just makes it like the same format as what you've got in the post anyway. Okay, so now let's complete this post. In other words, complete this article by adding a photo, a caption to the photo, and the actual text of the story. So the next thing I'm going to do here is add a photo. So if I hit return from here, and I've got a new plus button. If I click on this, you notice I have these different options here. So in order to add a photo, I've got to go into gallery and then add photos to my gallery. Okay, so I'm going to click on gallery, and I would just drag photos into here. So I've gone ahead and downloaded a bunch of different photos from the internet, from these news stories, into down on my desktop. So I've got this folder full of images, and I just am going to drag this one into the gallery, and then there it is. Now, in theory, you can add a caption right to the image itself. If I go on this, if I go to crop and edit, there's text, but I didn't find that it works very well. So I'm going to recommend that you just add the photo first. Keep it simple. Add the photo first, and then go ahead and write a caption right in the post, right under the photo. So I'm going to add this to the page. Okay, so I've added it to the page, and now I can decide how it looks on the page. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I can go ahead and decide how it's going to fit on the page, where it's going to go, but I like it right there. I'm not going to mess with that. So now what I can do is, I am going to, however, bring it a little closer to the text there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a caption right there, and let's go ahead and look at the credits from the site. Let's see if I can find that. So here's the credits for that image. I'm going to go ahead and copy that, and it looks like we don't have a photo credit. A lot of times it'll tell you who took the photo, and it probably should, but this is just saying, I think this is the credit. It's Reuters, even though it's from the BBC website. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in as a caption here and just say Reuters, so that I'm crediting the photographer. And maybe I'll make it a little bit smaller as a font so that it all fits right there. Okay, so at this point, all I've got to do is just add the text to the article, and I'm simply just going to do a little copy and paste job. I'm going to take this stuff here from my website, from the Washington Post website, and I'm going to post it in here. I'm going to clean it up a little bit, and now I've got the text. I can keep going so that I have the full text by going back to the Washington Post, and then grab the rest of the text here. You know, there's a bunch of ads, so it's a little bit, maybe a little bit annoying, but basically I can keep pasting it. Again, I'm hitting Shift, Option, Command so that I don't get, so that I keep this in a format that looks good. And yeah, that's basically how I would create a post for this thing. And I want to be sure to credit the reporter. So it's by Francesca Ebel. So I'm going to copy that as well. Make sure I add that in here. And okay, now I'm ready to assign it to my categories and then put it on the internet or put it on my website. So this is one of my top stories, and it's a national story. So again, what I just did there was, just to kind of show you, was I'm in this create the post dashboard. I hit categories here, top stories, national stories, and now I'm ready to publish. I go ahead and do that, but I still have another step to do in order to get it onto my site, given the way I've set up my site. So I'm going to show you how to do that next. And that's basically, here we are in the site, but as you can see, where's my story? It still hasn't appeared. So what I've got to do is, I've got to set up what I've got on my page to match with my categories. And so the way I'm going to do that is, first, I'm gonna get that to work.